macaroni and cheese. Easy, delicious, rich, and comforting. Today on Let's Celebrate TV. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Celebrate TV. I'm your host, Peter Lee. Today we're going to be making an old family favorite. We're going to make my mother's macaroni and cheese. What I like to call, her name was Nancy, so I call it Nancy Lee's mac and cheese. Very simple, very classic recipe and delicious, delicious comfort food. So let's get started. Now it starts, like most mac and cheeses, with the macaroni. So what I have a pound of elbow macaroni that I boiled in salted boiling water until it was done. You just follow the package direction. It's easy, quick. Now for the fun part, the sauce. Now this starts with a roux. You've seen me make a roux before. Starts with a stick of butter. Please use real butter for this, not margarine. Now, as this melts, we're going to add a few more things. Equal parts butter to flour. So I have 8 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Let's give that a quick little stir. Let's turn that down a bit. This little burner burns hot. To this, I'm going to add some dried mustard. This is just plain ground mustard, sometimes Coleman's or McCormick. What this does is adds a tanginess and a level of just a tiny bit of spice. You can use yellow mustard or brown mustard if you wanted, if you can't find the ground. Put that right in. Now, a nutmeg. You've seen these before. I've used these. This is a whole nutmeg. You can see that. I'm just going to grind some in my little rasp here. This is going to be about a quarter to a tablespoon, or teaspoon rather. Quarter teaspoon, maybe a little more. You don't want to overdo it. But this is a classic ingredient in a bechamel sauce, which is what we're going to end up making. We're just going to stir this up to combine, get the butter to melt, and the flour taste to cook out. It just takes a couple minutes. Now, we are making this weekend, and we actually filmed this up at our site in the upstate mountains of Pennsylvania in the Endless Mountain Range, where we've been before. But filming outside is always a little challenging, and we had a little issue with another camper and a very loud golf cart, and then some of our neighbors were building a deck, so it was a little too noisy. Once we got the footage home. Okay. Now I'm going to add a salt and pepper, as always. Good pinch. Good grind. Now you don't want to cook this roux so that it darkens. You just want to give it 30 seconds to a minute until the flour taste cooks out. Now, 3 cups of whole milk. Not skim milk, not 2%, real whole milk. Just slowly add it in. Whisk while you're going. Now it seems at this point, you're probably thinking, what have I done? I've made milk soup. It's too much, it's never going to thicken. But it will. As you're stirring this on the heat, the flour and the butter are just going to start soaking up that milk. It's going to take a couple minutes. Be patient. You'll be rewarded. Now this is like medium-low, thereabouts. So as I said, we filmed this episode up at camp, and we had a whole crowd. We had some of our favorite queens there, of course, Maple Syrup, whom you've met before, and our friend Rich was there, our consultant. So we had a huge, huge dinner because they were all in a show over the weekend, and I had to cook them a big dinner. So we had a typical Sunday night dinner that I had growing up. We had ham, we had baked mac and cheese, and string beans almondine, a great old-fashioned kind of silly side dish, but it's fun. Now this recipe, I promise you, you're never going to want to use that box stuff again. And it's really great as a side dish for a Sunday night dinner or your neighborhood potluck or your church potluck, whatever. Or, you know, it could be served as a pretty hearty main course. It's getting there. Alrighty, it's been about 5 or 6 minutes, and that's all this really takes. This is thickening up nicely. Now, on camera, I think it probably doesn't look as thick as it really is, but it's very velvety and wonderful. So I'm actually going to cut the heat and add in our cheese. This is a pound of sharp cheese that I've shredded in my food processor, or if you want, you can do it on your box grater. It all goes right in. And you're just going to mix it up gently, and just the residual heat is going to melt this cheese. Now you're going to have this lovely, rich, velvety, cheesy sauce. That's actually good on a lot of more things than just macaroni and cheese. You just stir it up to combine and it'll smooth itself out. And don't worry if it looks like there's little lumps in it, that's perfectly fine. All right. Hold that steady. All righty. Here we go. Now we're just going to combine this with the boiled macaroni. All of it right in. Use our spatula because we want to get every bit of that wonderful sauce. All right, now mixy mixy. Again, it kind of looks like, oh, I've got a bowl of soup here. Not really. This macaroni is going to go into a hot oven and it's going to soak up all of this wonderful, wonderful sauce. Alrighty. We've mixed well. Now for our baking dish. I have just baking dish, 13 by 9, buttered. Just took some softened butter, smeared it on. I know it's got a stick of butter in it, but we're just going to help it come out later. And this is all just going to go in right into the pan. Okay. Every last bit. Now this is going to go to a hot oven, 375, for about 25 to 30 minutes or until you have a nice bubbly brown crust. Now, little tip, if at the end of, say, 30 minutes, it's not quite brown enough, if you're using a glass baking dish, use a low broiler. But just watch it and it'll just take a moment or two and you'll get that nice little crust. So off to the ovens. Okay, it's been about 35 minutes and we're out of the oven. I let this sit and rest for about 10 minutes so it would really firm up and be wonderful. And here we are, our finished product. And look at that lovely brown crust on it. So let's have a taste. I'm going to have a nice healthy portion right in the corner all the crispy bits, because that's the best part. Look at that. Here we go. That's comfort food. That takes me back to Sunday nights at home with my family. Now, we would always have this with a ham dinner or a pork roast, something like that. It's just wonderful and so comforting and so easy too. So, of course, I'm tasting here in my kitchen at home, but we did have our friends taste it up at camp before dinner too, and they really, really enjoyed it. In fact, there wasn't a scrap left after dinner. You'd think I was feeding an army, and actually I was, and this is a perfect dish to feed an army. So that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us. What I'd like to know is, are you going to make this for your next Sunday night dinner or your office potluck or what? And what would you serve with it? We always had ham with mac and cheese, but what else could you do? You could do fish. You could do whatever your imagination says, and I want to hear about it. So remember, hit that like button. More importantly, hit that subscribe button. We're getting more subscribers every single day, and thank you so much, but keep them coming. Now you can watch our episodes anytime you want, and you should at youtube.com/Let's Celebrate TV. And remember, you can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Let's Celebrate TV. In fact, we have some threads on Facebook started. What would you like to see me cook next? What would you like to see an episode on? Follow us on Facebook and write us in and comment. It's all the time we have for today. I'm your host, Peter Lee. Thank you for joining us. Cheers!